This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Friday, October 9th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, threatening storm surge expected as Hurricane Delta barrels its way to Louisiana. How you can help those in the storm's path, we'll tell you. Kidnapping plot foiled. More than a dozen people arrested after threatening to kill the governor of Michigan. Hunger taking the world stage, the program winning the Nobel Peace Prize, and the hope that no one goes hungry. Plus, a look ahead to Game 5 of the NBA playoffs. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with Hurricane Delta expected to make landfall late today along Louisiana's southwest coast. It could impact the same areas that were damaged by Hurricane Laura about 6 weeks ago. Delta has already pummeled Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula as a Category 2 storm. Its 100-mile-an-hour winds peeled off roofs and washed up boats. CBN's Chuck Holton is in Louisiana right now, giving us a look at those living there and how they're preparing.
I've just landed here in southern Louisiana as the outer bands of Hurricane Delta come ashore, and I'm trying to get into the hurricane zone where just 6 weeks ago I covered Hurricane Laura in Lake Charles. And Josh Guillory, the mayor of Lafayette, Louisiana, told his people today that proper planning prevents poor performance. That's an axiom he learned in the military, but it's very appropriate now because these people are now preparing for their 6th hurricane of the season. And they're getting very tired of that, I can promise you, but there are still about 1.5 million tons of debris laying around Lake Charles that will now become ammunition for Hurricane Delta and will make it that much more dangerous even if the winds don't reach the same speeds as they did 6 weeks ago.
And now for a look at exactly how strong Hurricane Delta is expected to be, we want to turn to AccuWeather's Brittany Boyer.
Hurricane Delta remains a major hurricane this morning with max winds at 120 miles per hour. This is inching its way closer and closer to the Louisiana coast, and at this point it's about 200 miles south of Cameron, Louisiana, and Cameron, Louisiana is the same town in which Hurricane Laura, a Category 4 hurricane back in August, made landfall in. So, of course, all eyes are going to be on southwestern Louisiana. There are a number of tropical storm warnings and also hurricane warnings as well. And we're really concerned about this landfalling hurricane that's going to be happening later on this evening. This will be the first October landfalling hurricane in Louisiana since the early 2000s. So let's talk about the track, because that is obviously a very important factor here. At this point, it is a major hurricane, but as it gets closer toward the Gulf Coast, it's going to be interacting with some cooler waters. We've been dealing with warmer waters, so that's going to help weaken this. Also, some dry air and wind shear will help weaken this. And we have this as a Category 2 hurricane making landfall right around 7 p.m. local time for tonight, and then weakening rather quickly as it works its way to the north and east. But let's talk about some of the impacts. We've already had locations in Louisiana within the last 24 hours picking up over 1/2 foot of rain. We're covering for 8 to 12 inches of rain here throughout parts of central Louisiana, with an AccuWeather local storm max as high as 16 inches. So there will be some heavy rain. There's also going to be a lot of gusty wind as well as we continue into the rest of this Friday and also into Saturday as well. Immediately east of where Delta makes landfall, we are going to be looking at the potential of winds exceeding over 100 miles per hour. And you can see for a couple of cities here, Lafayette, 80 to 100 mile per hour wind gusts, 8 to 12 inches of rain. Lake Charles, the town that was severely impacted by Hurricane Laura, also looking at hurricane force winds. And then we can't forget the storm surge. Some areas will see that rise in water as high as 6 to 10 feet. We'll send it back to you.
Brittany Boyer, thank you. Now, CBN's Operation Blessing is on standby in Birmingham, Alabama, ready to provide assistance to those in need in Louisiana once the storm passes. If you would like to support their efforts, you can do so by making a donation and visiting CBN.com. More than a dozen people are under arrest for allegedly plotting to kidnap the governor of Michigan. Charges have been brought against 13 members of 2 militia groups. The FBI says the men were angry at Governor Whitmer for imposing restrictions during the coronavirus pandemic. Governor Whitmer was on Joe Biden's short list as a potential running mate. Now the Trump campaign is slamming the governor after she called the president complicit in the alleged plot.
She wakes up every day with such hatred in her heart towards President Trump.
The fact that after a plot to kidnap and to kill me, this is what they come out with. They start attacking me.
Overnight, President Trump reacted on Twitter saying he does not tolerate extreme violence. One Christian author thinks the current divides in the United States are so deep and so toxic the country is now in more danger than it's ever been. Paul Strand asked him about America's enemies and their destructive goals.
A new book is out, Assault on America, How to Defend Our Nation Before It's Too Late. And we're speaking to the author, Alex McFarland. Alex, what's the main point of the book? What is it you're hoping people take away from it?
Well, the main point of the book is that most of our problems stem from spiritual issues and what we call the loss of natural law, that is, any sense of moral boundaries. While we do give some pretty sobering critiques of where we are culturally and spiritually, ultimately it's a message of hope that God can change our nation and it can begin through each one of us.
Are you worried that people are actually trying to destroy America in a way and try to remake it as something different?
I honestly believe that we are in a state of war. And there are people that want the U.S. Constitution to fall, all of our civil liberties given by God to be gone. And so, yes, I will say this, that I believe we are in the most tenuous position our country has ever faced since the American Revolution.
What do these people actually want to replace our capitalist free market society with?
They want to replace it with secular communism. On the political economic side, that they want communism, and they want 330 to 350 million Americans that they can control, exploit, and basically financially and spiritually soak the life out of this nation. There are two juggernauts arm wrestling for the future of America: the iron fist of statism and communism, the iron sword of Sharia. One thing and one thing only is sufficient to hold these two forces at bay, and that's a Judeo-Christian worldview.
You know, I think one of the most interesting aspects of your book is this way that it dealt with real truth, objective truth, versus relativism and all. Can you talk a little bit about that, about like how this other side has a real problem with just factual, actual reality?
Well, we're living in a time where people believe that they can make their own reality. People that are genetic males or genetic females believe merely by their mind, they can, quote, identify and change reality. And what's so dangerous is, we've seen decades where feelings trump scripture and feelings trump spiritual reality. But now we're letting feelings and emotions trump science. And even as we speak, we've watched so many dominoes fall, gay marriage and now transgenderism treated as an ethnicity. And even as we speak, there are people advocating for really the molestation of children because people identify as pedophilia is their orientation. And there are serious academics writing papers on why we should be okay with this. Now, it all began with abortion on demand. When we cut ourselves loose from the belief that human life is sacred, every other moral domino has begun to fall. And so I would just encourage people, and it's got to be ministers and clergy that lead out on this, but all people need to courageously say, look, God is still God, truth is still truth, right is still right, and wrong is still wrong. But the future of our country, the preservation of America, depends on us rediscovering and restoring belief in God and morality.
All right. Well, that's a good place to wrap it up. We've been speaking with Alex McFarland, author of The Assault on America.
That was Paul Strand reporting, and for more information on the book, simply go to our website at cbnnews.com. I want to turn now to politics. It's possible last week's first presidential debate was the very last. The Debate Commission says it switched the format of the next debate to a virtual forum because the president tested positive for the coronavirus. The commission says the move was to protect the health and safety of all involved. After the announcement, President Trump immediately shot it down. President Trump's campaign manager says the president will be fully cleared by Saturday and will be ready to debate in person. The Trump team also suggested it will be open to delaying the debate by a week, but the Biden campaign has said no to the idea of rearranging the dates. State and local officials across the country are trying to recruit younger workers to staff polling places on Election Day. The effort is driven by the concern many traditional poll workers will be too worried about catching the coronavirus to show up. Many workers dropped out during this year's primary season. Recruitment efforts are targeting young people who are less at risk of developing serious illnesses from the virus.
Without poll workers, polling stations close. And when polling stations close, it's often marginalized communities or underserved communities that find themselves victims to that and are no longer able to vote or have their voice heard in our civic processes.
Advocacy groups are also mobilizing. For example, the nonprofit Poll Hero Project has recruited more than 25,000 young people to become poll workers. The United Nations World Food Program won the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize. The organization provided assistance to nearly 100 million people in 88 countries around the world last year. The Nobel Committee said the coronavirus pandemic has added to the hunger faced by millions of people around the world and called on governments to ensure that World Food Program and other organizations receive the financial support necessary to feed them. Coming up, no gathering for another week. What lockdown looks like in Israel to rein in the country's coronavirus outbreak. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. We'll be right back.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times best-selling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. in Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
The lockdown in Israel continues, and the country has seen a slight decrease in the COVID-19 infection rate. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu remains cautious and vigilant when it comes to that nationwide lockdown. CBN News reporter Julie Stahl is in Jerusalem and joins us now to discuss the changes that could be on the way. So, Julie, what do we know about the state of the current lockdown, and are there plans to lift it?
Well, some people would like for it to already be lifted, but we know that it'll go until at least midweek next week. After that, Prime Minister Netanyahu wants it to continue. They are having some success in bringing the numbers down of those who are contracting the disease. But others are saying, no, we need to begin to opening businesses up, businesses that don't receive the public. And so, and also for the school for the youngest children so that the parents can go back to work. I personally would like my hair salon to reopen, but that's not going to happen for a little while. But they could open businesses, factories where people are just the same people working together day by day.
Are people understanding the restrictions that are in place?
I mean, we're very strict here. People are required to wear masks and to social distance, and I think people are pretty much obeying that. Most sectors of society. Many synagogues aren't meeting inside. They're just meeting outside for prayer, and they're keeping socially distanced. They're wearing masks. There's been some trouble with a very small minority of the ultra-Orthodox that are, kind of suspicious of the government, and they want to know why the government is allowing protests to go on, but they can't go to synagogue. So there's been some trouble with the police, clashes and things like that. But in general, I think people are keeping the rules.
Julie, what are the restrictions in place for those who have traveled out of town?
Well, but basically, Israelis are, we're a really tiny country, so Israelis basically are forbidden to leave the country. But if people are coming back from abroad, whoever comes back, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks in their home or another place. Chris Mitchell was in the States, and he was at the Return recently, the big prayer event in Washington. Now he's working from home, but he's in quarantine. You're not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to shop. You're not allowed even to take your garbage out. You have to stay in your house. And the police do come and check on you. So that's what happens right now when you come back from abroad.
Real quick, do Israelites have hope that things will get back to normal?
Yeah, I think so. We were in the Old City this week, and everything's closed down. If you could imagine Christmas time in the U.S., the big shopping rush, everybody out, and that's what Jerusalem's usually like at Sukkot. And instead, everything was closed. Nobody's here. Nobody came up to the Old City, and so it was really dark. But we were talking to some people in the Old City, a couple of shop owners and a bus driver. I think you might have a soundbite from him. We were doing a Facebook Live. Everything was closed down. But he basically, I don't know if you have that soundbite or not, but basically he's been closed for like 6 or 8 months?
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
He
wow.
spent 7 months he's closed. 7 months.
7 months.
Wow.
We're praying you can open again. You think then it'll open? When Trump gets elected? You think so?
When he wins.
When he wins? Okay. Well, maybe even before then.
Attorney Julie Stahl, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. I want to remind you folks, you can always get more on Jerusalem Dateline. You can find that this evening at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the CBN News Channel. Still ahead, college athletes left in the lurch. What's ahead for the thousands of players looking to get back to their sport? We'll be right back.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. The pandemic is forcing colleges and universities to make some tough decisions. For the past 6 months, administrations have decided to cut entire sports teams. This comes as professional athletes gear up for Game 5 of the NBA Finals. And CBN Sports Director Sean Brown joins us live now to talk about it all. So, Sean, let's start with colleges cutting their sports teams. What alternatives do student athletes have if they can't play at the chosen school?
Hey, good morning, Ephraim. Yes, man, this is really an emotional time for college students and college coaches. And it really comes down to money. When D1 schools, D2, D3, it's all across the board. When they can't play football or basketball, which for a lot of the schools are their major money makers for their athletic programs, and they don't have any fans in the stands, it's kind of hard to spread, the money that's being brought in for these athletic programs to feed programs like swimming, track and field, soccer, even baseball at some institutions. I mean, according to the Washington Post, as many as 80 schools, D1 schools, universities, had to cancel programs like swimming, baseball, track and field. And so now students are having to make a choice. Either they can give up their sport, stay at the university just as a regular student, or they can transfer where, a lot of their college coaches are trying to help place them at other schools. And some have been able to do it, but others, again, they're trying to either find a school that they can commit to, or just give up their sport or stay at the university. And it's rough for these kids. I mean, they're praying in their dorm rooms. They're of course crying and emotional. Both men and women college athletes, and so even the coaches, when their programs get canceled, it's emotional for them. First, watching their students put on another university's jersey. But also because personally, they have to make a decision of whether or not they're going to have to uproot and move their families to other cities to work for other schools. Or do they stay, depending on how much they've invested in the community and the school, do they stay and just kind of just live in the community that they're in? And so it's a very, very emotional time because of COVID. It is very sad. And you just kind of pray for those coaches and those students.
Absolutely. You're also looking ahead to tonight's NBA Finals. So can the Heat rally back to get in the series, or will the Lakers close it out in Game 5?
Look, in Game 3, Jimmy Butler rallied, man. Jimmy Butler went off, dropping 40 points. But it's going to take more than one player to overtake, the Lakers, man. I mean, they're big, they're long, they're athletic. They just have so many weapons. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, Danny Green, Kuzma. They're just so many, and they're big. It's going to take more than Jimmy Butler to force a Game 6. Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen? I'm not sure, because right now the Lakers look to me like they are hungry. They want this championship. The Mamba jerseys were amazing. Love the Mamba jerseys. No, I think the Lakers are going to wrap it up tonight. If the Heat has a chance, it's going to rely on Jimmy Butler and his supporting cast. He's going to need more from Bam Adebayo. He's going to need more from Robinson and some more of those guys to make the fight. But it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. It is the fourth quarter that you want to watch.
Indeed.
LeBron James is going to go off, or they're going to go off. And so it's going to be exciting, man.
Yes,
Tune in.
it will be exciting regardless. One to watch for sure. Sean Brown, thank you so much. I want you guys to stay with us. We'll be right back.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
Welcome back. Time now for your Friday Faithful. And today I want to leave you with this thought as we wrap another work week and embark upon a new weekend. The circumstances of life can be hot one day and cold the next. In those changes, I want you to be sure to be a thermostat and not a thermometer. A thermometer simply measures the temperature. A thermostat regulates it. With that word, be sure to make today a fabulous Friday and have yourself a wonderful weekend, and do that on purpose. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We would love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us, the address right there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. Have a fabulous Friday, a wonderful weekend. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place, come Monday.